Hello and welcome back to the Geordie Pig Investor channel. In today's video, I'm breaking down all the stocks I bought and sold throughout October. It was a seriously action-packed month, probably the busiest I've ever had, with a ton of buying and a few key sales as well. I added 4 new stocks to the portfolio, and this ended up being the largest amount I've ever invested in a singular month. Trust me, there was a lot of activity. I'm excited to walk you through all of the different buys and sells, and maybe a few of my decisions might surprise you. As always, I'd love to hear your thoughts, so let me know in the comments down below. Anyways, let's get straight into it and start off by looking at the stocks I sold in the month of October. The first stock I sold in October was my Warpaint London position, where I sold 500 shares for a total amount of £1,025. As you all know, I preach complete transparency on my channel, not only showing the wins but also the losses. And this loss was a stingy one. I decided to sell my entire position in Warpaint London because the company withheld key financial information only for those figures to be leaked later. That lack of transparency broke my trust in management, and once trust is gone, it's hard to justify staying invested, especially when there are plenty of companies that communicate openly and reliably with shareholders. So even though this was a new position in the portfolio, I was quite happy to cut my losses and move on. But it did sting. As you can see, I had a realised loss of £363.50. The other stock I sold this month in my portfolio was so that I could reallocate some capital into a new position I recently opened and believe the current price is too good to pass up on. So I decided to trim my Alphabet position. I'm still very bullish on them over the long term and only wanted to trim 0.5 shares, as this now leaves me with 12 shares of the company, and this meant I could take a little bit of profit off the table and reinvest this towards my new position in the portfolio. If you watched my recent stock analysis video, you will all know exactly what stock it is that I've added to the portfolio. And as you can see, I had a realised gain of £45.95 on the position. And now let's move on to the exciting part where I'm going to show you all the stocks I bought in October. Hey investors, quick heads up, Snowball Analytics is running a huge 30% off Black Friday sale from November 24th to December 3rd. As a dividend investor, it's been a game changer for tracking payouts, visualizing income growth, and staying perfectly diversified. If you've been thinking about leveling up your dividend strategy, this is the best time of year to do so. Use my link below, lock in the discount, and start growing your Snowball the smart way. And for my existing Snowball users, you can also get this 30% off by using my link and adding it to your current subscription. So take advantage while it lasts and level up your dividend strategy. The first stock I bought in October was the JP Morgan Global Growth and Income ETF, where I bought 100 shares for £571.10, so my new position size is now £9,924.40, and I have a total of 1,720 shares. I also added to my other ETF in the portfolio, which is my Vanguard S&P 500 ETF, and I added 2.5 shares for a total amount of £232.80. My new position size in this one is the biggest in the portfolio at £11,196.11, and I now own a total of 115 shares. The next position I added to in October was my JP Morgan Nasdaq Equity Premium ETF, where I added 3 shares for an amount of £57.37. My new position size is now £2,137.75, and I have a total of 108 shares. This ETF pays out on a monthly basis, and they recently announced they had increased their dividend payment for December by over 30%, so that's going to be a tasty one that I can look forward to. The next stock that I added to in my portfolio was Avicii Properties, where I added a total of 10 shares for £231.16, and my new position size is £2,701.13, and I have a total of 117 shares. This is my biggest US company in the entire portfolio, taking up over 4% of my portfolio. I then added 0.5 shares to my MasterCard position for an amount of £210.35, so my new position size is £1,327.96, and I now have a total of 3.2 shares. Then moving on to a UK company that I added to, and that was a B&M Bargains, where I added 50 shares for an amount of £112.50. And B&M's share price did see a sharp drop, and unfortunately I bought these 50 shares just before that crash. Despite the timing, I'm planning to hold the position because I still believe the company is financially resilient with strong cash generation, solid margins, and a proven business model that performs well even in tougher economic conditions. While this short-term dip is frustrating, I'm confident in B&M's long-term fundamentals, and I'm happy to collect the dividends while the market stabilizes. I now have a total position size of £1,968, which is a total of 1,200 shares. The next stock I added to this month was Legal & General, where I added 140 shares for an amount of £328.51. This means my new position size is £1,283.58, and I now own 540 shares of the stock. This actually continues on from my buying towards the back end of September, because I did feel for a long time that the price was too high to justify adding, but recently it's had a bit of a pullback, and at that £2.35 level, I believe it's a fantastic buying opportunity to add to my position. The first new stock I added to the portfolio this month was my Income Shares Mag 7 ETP, where I added 5 shares for an amount of £166.56. I've opened up this position in the Magnificent 7 ETP because it gives me exposure to the strongest group of mega cap tech leaders while also offering a surprisingly high dividend yield. I like that it provides a simple way to hold the full Mag 7 basket without having to buy each stock individually, and the added income makes it even more attractive. For me, it's a convenient, diversified and powerful way to tap into the long-term growth of these market-leading companies while still earning very generous dividends. The next position I added to in the month of October, which is also a new position in the portfolio, was Zoetis, where I added 11 shares for an amount of £1,298.97. I've opened a position in Zoetis because it's a high-quality leader in animal health with strong long-term fundamentals, consistent growth, and a durable competitive advantage. Unfortunately, just after I bought the stock, it had a recent pullback by around 10% after its earnings call, but after reviewing the results myself, I really do think that this market reaction was exaggerated. The underlying business remains solid and the long-term outlook is intact. Another new stock that I added to the portfolio this month was Blue Owl Capital. I added 150 shares for an amount of £1,408.36. I opened a new position in Blue Owl Capital because it offers strong, reliable income with an attractive dividend yield. Backed by a well-managed and diversified portfolio of middle market loans, the company has a solid track record of stable performance, disciplined underwriting, and consistent NAV growth, which gives me confidence in its ability to continue generating steady returns. Overall, it's a high-quality business development company that fits well into my long-term income-focused strategy, and because I don't currently own any quality business development companies in my portfolio, I thought this was a great time to add one to the portfolio. And the final stock that I added to my portfolio this month for my October buys was PayPal, where I added 7 shares for an amount of £368.68. I've opened a new position in PayPal because I believe the company is deeply undervalued relative to its long-term potential, with a strong brand, huge user base, and clear path to improving profitability. I recently did a full stock analysis video breaking down the latest earnings call, and after going through the numbers myself, I came away confident that PayPal is executing well and setting up for a solid turnaround. In my view, the market isn't fully pricing in their progress, which makes it a compelling buy right now. And with that is all of my buys for the month. As you can see, October was a really busy month for me. Having invested close to £5,000, it's the most I've ever spent in 1 month. I did sell just over £1,000 worth of stocks, so overall the portfolio saw £3,756 of new capital added. Most of the cash I put to work came directly from my own contributions alongside the 2 sales I made, and I did actually make a sizable sale at the end of September when I sold out of my Louis Vuitton position. But a portion also came from reinvesting dividends I received during the month. If you'd like to know which stocks paid me a dividend in October, I've already uploaded a video on that, so please be sure to go and check it out. Looking ahead, my priority is to strengthen and build on my current positions while keeping sales to a minimum. That said, over these past few months, I've added a few different new stocks and even trimmed out of some positions where my conviction has faded. I'm comfortable making these adjustments when they serve the long-term benefit. I know that I have a long investment time horizon and want to capitalize on opportunities as they arise. So with that in mind, this is a good time to outline my key objectives for 2025 and see how I'm getting on so far. In this part of the video, I want to share some key points about my investing strategy moving forward. It's a pretty simple approach, but I find it really useful to write my goals down and remind myself of them. And of course, goals can change over time, so it's always worth checking in to make sure you're still happy with what you originally set out to do. The first point for me is to consistently invest money every payday, essentially paying myself first by putting cash straight into my ISA. This way I get used to not even seeing that money as spendable. Just like my mortgage or water bill, I treat my ISA contribution as a fixed, non-negotiable payment. That mindset turns investing into a healthy habit and keeps me disciplined month after month. The next part of my strategy is to keep making consistent monthly contributions into my 2 core ETFs, VUSA and JGGI. Over time, my goal is to build these up to around 40% of my overall portfolio. At the moment, they're sitting at just over 37%, which I'm already really pleased with. I've set this as one of my main objectives for 2025 because it helps me stay focused on the bigger picture. No matter what's going on in the markets or in the world, I want to keep steadily adding to my VUSA and JGGI positions and block out the noise. One of my biggest goals over this past year was to trim my positions down to a maximum of 25 stocks and ETFs. After some careful considerations and reevaluations, I'm happy to say I've now achieved that, with my portfolio sitting at 24 holdings. As you know, I did add 4 stocks to the portfolio this month, so I do now need to start consolidating my current positions. Regardless, this feels like a big milestone for me because it's so easy to get carried away adding new positions, and while it might seem like a good idea at the time, in the long run it can become messy and difficult to manage properly. Now I feel my portfolio has a much clearer structure and every stock and ETF I hold has a defined purpose and objective behind it. Another key goal is to keep adding to my growth and income stocks wherever I see attractive buying opportunities. Now that my portfolio is at a size I feel comfortable managing, it's much easier to stay on top of every position. This means that if I believe a stock is undervalued and I have the capital available, I can confidently strengthen that holding. My approach is always to buy high quality companies at a discount where possible, as shown in today's video where I saw some real value in opening some new positions in the portfolio. And finally, I want to continue maintaining a healthy balance between growth and income stocks. At the moment, my portfolio offers a 6% yield with a 5-year dividend growth rate at 6.1%, both of which are right in line with my targets. This is something I'll keep tracking closely to make sure it stays within my preferred range, and it also helps me hold myself accountable as I build for the long term. And with that, it wraps up this month's buys and sells. If you found value in this breakdown, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more investing insights every month. Drop a comment if you made any interesting moves yourself. I'd love to hear what you've been buying or selling. Thanks for watching. Until next time, keep compounding and stay patient in the market because your future self will thank you. For now, this is the Geordie Pig Investor. Over and out.